Welcome to the DB&J Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Turnbuckle Jim.
Fast Count Brian.
And sadly, Chairshot Donnie will not be able to make it today, as due to weather instruments. So it's just the J&B podcast.
I mean, to be fair, we had a chance to get the chair that Clint Eastwood talked to the Republican National Convention, but I think we politely declined.
Yeah. Actually, I think that CM Punk was going to do this, but then he just decided not to show up. So.
Is he still upset that they took the title off of AJ? I mean, I can't blame him, right?
Anyway, on this show, we're still going to do everything that we usually do. So we're going to do the Raw rundown from this past week. We're going to do our retrospective pay-per-view reviews. We're going to do both In Your House, Revenge of Taker, and In Your House, Cold Day in Hell, both from, I think, April and May 97. Then we're also going to do, probably somewhere in the show, we're going to do our preview for the next pay-per-view, what we think is going to happen, which is Extreme Rules, in 5 days. And then we're going to do our top 5 wrestling personalities who deserve a punch in the face, which I'm pretty sure at the end, we're going to be punching each other in the face. That literally just over Skype.
Yeah.
So, Fast Guy Brian, you ready to do this?
I am. Quick thing, though, programming note, if I correctly, they said on Raw last night that you cannot get Extreme Rules on Dish or Comcast now?
That's right. They decided pretty much in retaliation for there not being for being the WWE network, so they're no longer going to put the pay-per-views on Dish and satellite. So.
Wow. Well, I mean, I was wondering how the whole thing worked, anyways. Like, as far as like, why would you pay for that if you weren't going to get the network? It just makes so much sense. Sign up for the network today. Thank you, Vince McMahon.
Yeah, it's actually probably the coolest damn thing for any professional wrestling fan ever. And I'm not really saying that as a professional wrestling fan, but as a host of this program. Anyway, moving on. So, starting out, we have the opening segment where Bray Wyatt surrounded the ring with singing children singing He's Got the Whole World in His Hands, pretty much scaring the crap out of Cena. I thought it was one of the best openings that they've done in a long time. Brian, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, you got that feeling that he was just gonna, and forgive me, but they're teasing that heel turns ever so slowly. It feels like, because he had that moment where he could have said, "Screw you people for putting me in that 3-on-1 match."
Yeah,
but
he was close to it. He was really close to it.
Yeah, then he just turns it back and he's like, but it's been this way since I've been here, blah, blah, blah. But
my happiest moment was getting strapped to Raw.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, so, Bray came out there, saved it, and those kids, like, you figure you see one of them, like, get goofy or start laughing or cracking up, but, like, they were all into it. Like, that was fantastic. Like,
yeah.
They looked like kids you would see in some kind of cult-type place or something. So, that was fantastic. Like, I thought it was so good.
Yeah. Just a little side note: the according to Lords.net, the children's choir is actually a local high school choir, and also the one thing that did kill us for me is that we played this like 20 times during the night. So when you saw it like the 5th time, it's just like, come on, we've already seen this. But if you missed the first 2 hours, you have 1 hour to recap.
When did this whole thing start with that song? Like did the crowd just start singing it, and then he just?
I think he started singing it like before WrestleMania. I can't remember the exact moment he started singing. He's got the whole world in his hands. But man, yeah, it's just downright creepy, is what it is.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. Anyway, next up we have the tag team champions of the Usos versus Ryback in kind of a quick match. I mean, they only did like 2 segments, but I thought it was pretty good. The Ryback was kind of well booked to be a good threat to the Usos. So for what it was, I thought it was pretty decent. Brian?
Yeah, I anytime you can get those guys back out there, because to be honest, you feel like these tag teams get lost in the shuffle these days. But it's good that they got the Usos back out there, got them a good win, make them look strong. I just don't know if this is leading to anything. I mean, do they even have a Extreme Rule match? Hello? Hello?
Brian?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. Skype problems, folks. Skype problems.
Man,
Anyway.
I'm sorry, you people out there don't understand the stuff we go through to put a quality program on every week.
It's pretty much just done at the last minute. What can you say?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's all right. Where were we? Oh, yeah, Team Rob Axel. Yeah, they're not doing a pay-per-view. As far as I know, there's nothing on pay-per-view so far. This might be the blow-off match. I'm kind of disappointed they didn't save this for the pay-per-view, but then again, the fact they put up the championship belts on Raw, that's still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, and then it's sort of like a surprise they put that on the week before the pay-per-view, but then when we go down the card for Raw, you'll see a little more surprises, some stuff you didn't expect to see.
A lot more stuff. Anyway, so we have Sheamus versus Titus O'Neil, which was Titus ambushing Sheamus, beating him down in the match, and then Sheamus does the bro kick, and then Titus and O'Neil's momentum is just gone. Brian, what are your thoughts on this debacle?
I kind of feel like this is something that they just set up at the last minute, and maybe would it surprise you on Sunday if they had the early match be Titus against Sheamus, that kind of thing?
Yeah, that kind of would, because Sheamus is kind of getting some build, but Titus is just, ever since they broke up the primetime players, he's just been small change. What can you say?
Yeah, I mean, as far as everything else goes, it just looks like, and honestly, they're just using Sheamus to help put people over right now, because I mean, he was in the Intercontinental Tournament, and he helped, he helped put over. So I mean,
yeah.
Other than that,
yeah, it's like they don't know what to do with Sheamus. They don't know what to do with Titus O'Neil. So I wish they really kept the primetime players together. I thought they had a great gimmick, a great look, and I think both him and oh crap, what's the name of the other guy? I forgot him already. That's how bad it is.
Darren Young,
an open homosexual who really is not a thing. Them together were so much better than apart. So the whole thing is just ridiculous. Anyway, speaking of awesome ridiculous, next up we had Hugh Jackman in the ring with Dolph Ziggler. When out shows up Damien Sandow dressed up like Magneto. I crapped my pants. I literally crapped my pants. I thought this was the funniest thing they've done in a long time. I thought this was awesome. And then, of course, he kind of gets beaten up by Hugh Jackman and Ziggler later on, but everybody was having fun with this. What do you think, Brian?
I mean, I'd like to give you full credit for bringing to my attention the fact that he's been in character for 14 years as Wolverine off and on. He
has been. That is amazing. He hasn't aged that much. So I'm stupid impressed that he's been doing the same freaking role and getting a paycheck for it. And whether movies are good, movies are bad, he's still the same character. So.
Yeah, I mean, he ages well just like Logan does in the comics. So.
He does. There's got to be something kind of weird. Maybe some kind of healing factor that we don't know about.
Well, I don't know if it was 100% accurate, because then Magneto Sandow would have taken his adamantium out, right?
That would be really bad. But
yeah.
What you think of the segment?
Actually, I mean, it's good for what it is. I mean, it was funny. It didn't drag on for too long, and it got Hugh Jackman out there in a spot that made him and WWE look good. So you went to win-win.
Yeah, pretty much. It's one of those. It's one thing that really kind of turned me off in professional wrestling back in say 2009 when I was trying to get back into it again was a stupid guest host of Raw. That was the entire show. They took away attention from the superstars. It was crappy. But throw him in one segment, and that's perfectly fine. I thought this was awesome. Hugh Jackman is a huge star, and having him on Monday Night Raw, just having fun, and actually doing a wrestling move, holy crap, that was really cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I almost quit because of that. But to be fair, Bob Barker punching out Chris Jericho was kind of fun. But those moments are few and far between.
Yeah, few and far between. Speaking of far and few between, speaking of frequent and often, we have Cesaro versus Jack Swagger for the umpteenth time. I can't remember what happens in this match, to tell you the truth. Cesaro won, I think, after Zeb Coulter and Paul Heyman got into it, so it just feels like they really need to have a better match than this. This is kind of crappy.
Well, if you saw, I don't know if you got the rundown for Extreme Rules yet, but they added RVD to the mix.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So, I mean, it kind of made sense that later on, but as far as for this match, man.
Yeah.
Like, I was just a little surprised that, I mean, if you're gonna, like, I figured you'd say that for Extreme Rules, just have it be those two, but to do it the week before on Raw, that's how you kind of knew something was fishy, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, next up we have Cody Rhodes versus Alberto Del Rio. With Alberto Del Rio beating Rhodes versus the Cross Armbreaker. This is also another kind of crappy match they could have done. They could have saved it for pay-per-view, been a big feud, and then like transition to Goldust versus Cody Rhodes. But they're really just kind of pushing for the Rhodes brothers to break up. What do you think, Brian?
The same thing. I mean, it's good to see Cody being the one getting these singles matchups, because if it was Del Rio versus Goldust, I probably wouldn't have as much interest in it. And another guy like Del Rio, I feel like he's getting lost in the shuffle, just like Sheamus is.
Yeah. Del Rio has been really without direction since. Oh my goodness, it's been a while. Ever since he had a feud with like freaking Batista.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So I mean, I know they've officially, I guess, merged the shows and the titles and everything, but at some point you could look back on pre-brand extension and figure out how to get these guys the proper gimmicks and build up angles to where titles don't need to be in the picture to have a good feud.
Yeah, it's lazy booking on their part. Speaking of lazy booking, we have Xavier Woods versus Alexander Rusev. And pretty much it was going to be another squash fest, except R-Truth ran in there, did the save on his friend. They actually got some offense on Rusev, knocking him out of the ring, so good for them. Shows them they might be able to bring him down. And wouldn't that be a surprise on Sunday when he beats them, or when if they do beat him? But overall, I think it's just kind of crappy. What do you think, Brian?
I don't understand this whole thing. Like, I feel like having Xavier Woods, which I thought he did pretty well, because when he first got there, he tried the whole thing with Brodus Clay and used him to get Xavier over, but like, I feel like him being attached to R-Truth makes him a jobber, like, along with him.
Yeah, well, they tied together in TNA, so that's so that they kind of have the connection there, so take it what you will.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but I feel like he's another guy that's lost in shuffle, because I feel like they were trying to get him pushing and completely forgot about him. He's entertaining. I just don't want him to end up, both of them, because R-Truth is your Mark Henry jobber kind of person.
Pretty much at this point, yeah. He had his moment to shine there with little Jimmy there, and then, he just disappeared. It's been pretty horrible. So speaking of pretty horrible, we have Los Matadores versus Heath Slater and Drew McIntyre of 3MB, and holy crap, 3MB actually won a match for a change, which also shows guys lost in the shuffle. Pretty much this is just a build-up for Hornswoggle versus Torito. Brian.
What were they dubbing that as, like MeLC or for like
it was called
WeLC?
Yeah, it's like they're Wii stature, so that's why there's a WeLC match or something. Small tables, small ladders, small chairs.
Yeah, small chance of it being entertaining. I mean, my God, that's just bad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. If that's not the pre-show match, I mean,
pre-show match.
Oh, thank God. Okay. Yeah. I got nothing.
Yeah, we'll just forget about it. It's pretty much our Fandango Santino moment of the night. Next up, we have actually some plot with Stephanie apologizing to Daniel Bryan for having Kane kick his ass last week. I thought this was a kind of cool segment. Daniel Bryan kept mentioning his wife. Brie Bella was out there, and actually they looked pretty good together. Brie Bella was pretty good. And then which segues into Stephanie making a match between Brie Bella and Paige for the Divas Championship. Brian, what say you?
I just don't understand this whole thing, like, especially with Stephanie. Like, I know that they still want to show that the Authority is trying to make Daniel Bryan's life difficult. I'm just like, just come out and admit, like, hey, we didn't want you to win the title. You beat my husband. That pissed me off. We're going to do what it takes to get that belt off of you. Just push that mega heel. Don't push the, I'm sorry, but I'm not really sorry, and then I'm going to have Kane drag your wife almost through the ring. Like, just be honest with everybody, because you're just, honestly, I didn't really care to see a fake apology, because everyone knows that it just didn't matter.
I thought that was, I thought it was pretty cool, especially with the build-up to the next segment, which was Brie Bella versus Paige. And oh my God, it's Kane! Kane rips through the ring and tries to, drag down Brie Bella. Daniel Bryan saves her and very his shenanigans ensue. Brian, did you like it? Did you hate it?
I mean, it served the purpose because I was like, they're doing a lot in a short amount of time to make people forget that Kane jobbed in less than 2 minutes at WrestleMania. So yeah, this was perfect. They got him being the scary guy. He's going after Daniel Bryan's wife. I mean, it works. So I mean,
like the Demon again. So bravo to them. So next up we have Rob Van Dam versus Bad News Barrett for the #1 contendership to the Intercontinental Championship. I thought that was just pretty cool. Like the whole tournament, I think is great. It definitely builds up the belt a bit, makes things exciting. And for what it's worth, I thought the match was pretty good. What did you think, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, for knowing who was going to win the match, it was still pretty entertaining. And then I guess we had the whole thing with Cesaro and Swagger as well.
The whole mix too is just like throwing out there.
Yeah, which that definitely sets up for the triple threat going on later.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if Barrett's actually going to beat Big E for the belt.
Good luck for. Yeah, and good luck for Bad News when he fights Big E on Sunday.
So next up we have our main event, which is Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton. Before the match, after Evolution Shield came down, here comes Ric Flair, who pretty much gives the seal approval to the Shield as opposed to Evolution. And then a match happened, but that pretty much disintegrated into a brawl. Shield got beaten up. I think they were going to be taken out, and then they rallied and then kicked the Evolution out of the ring. I thought this was a pretty cool segment. Definitely a good build-up to Extreme Rules. I'm afraid that the Evolution's going to win, which is really going to hurt the Shield. But you never know at this point of the game. What do you think, Brian?
I mean, I kind of side with you on that. I just think that if they do lose, that it means that they're going to fight them either in singles matches or with later on, or another 6-man tag where they get over. But yeah, it was fantastic. Like just honestly seeing guys like Seth Rollins or just the whole guy, all of them in general, fighting Batista, Orton, and Triple H, like certified main event guys. They're taking the Shield very seriously, especially with the fact that Roman Reigns got the main event match. It's slowly but surely they're giving him that big push, and it's coming along really well because he's a solid wrestler. He entertained the hell out of me last night.
I did like the fact that they went back to SmackDown, which I think was really cool booking, taking out half of the 11-on-3 match and just NWO style. It was that cool. So definitely a future with the Shield. So highlights, lowlights. I thought this was B- at best, probably C+ overall. Lots of forgettable stuff, but some good things. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I agree. I just think that it would have been better. I mean, it's no offense to the Shield and Evolution, but all that work pushing Daniel Bryan to the main event, I'm kind of upset that he's not the main event every night. I don't want him to end up being like Punk, where Punk had the belt, with Cena was main eventing Raw. If you're the champ, you should be main eventing Raw. That's just how I feel.
I feel the same way too, but then again, I think that the Shield's getting such a huge push right now that I don't see any problem with it because they're just really that damn cool. And Daniel Bryan, I think, just needs to take a little rest in terms of main eventing after WrestleMania. So as we'll see later, that can or cannot backfire on him. So yeah, I think that right now with their booking, I'm hoping that he's not going to stay, the number 2 spot. But Cena is number 3 right now with Bray Wyatt, if not number 2. So I mean, they have a lot of good stuff going on, which should make it a very good pay-per-view.
Absolutely. I mean, and I can't wait to see what happens Sunday, honestly.
Sunday. So it brings us to Sunday. So, all right. So we have, I don't know what the heck meant. We'll just go in the order, which I think they're going to be. So we have the pre-show, which was El Torito versus Hornswoggle. Who do you have?
I got.
You got to pick somebody. Come on.
Man, I'm gonna go with heel Hornswoggle. What the heck? Just it's a new change for him. Maybe he'll.
He looks a lot different. Yeah, he looks a lot weirder.
Maybe he'll get more airtime being heel manager. And anything that gets 3MB a win, I'm all for it.
I am too. I kind of always wish those guys would have got a win. It's against my least favorite tag team, the freaking Los Matadores. So yeah, all right, good stuff. Next up, I'm thinking will probably be Man, if I had to choose another match. Well, let's do it in the order that Wikipedia has them, which is Big E versus Bad News Barrett.
See, it seems so easy to make the obvious choice here. Like, I mean, would it surprise you if Big E retained? I'm not sure.
No, it wouldn't surprise me, but I'm thinking this is going to be another beautifully ugly match. Those guys are just going to brawl like the hell. So.
Yeah, I think that this is just like the beginning of a long feud for the guys. So I'm going to go with Big E for the first victory.
Okay, well I'm going to go with Bad News Barrett because you know what, the guy really deserves it. And I got some bad news from Big E. Indeed. Okay, so next up, probably Paige versus Tamina Snuka. I'm going with Paige. I think everybody loves the little girl, and Tamina's just not been around long enough. No, that's kind of ironic to say because Paige just showed up like a month ago. But yeah, I think Paige is definitely going to be champion for a long time at this point. I really don't see Tamina beating her.
Can we give a shout out for Chair Shot? I love Paige.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way she loses. It's too early.
Yeah, this is, you know, they're pushing her to the moon, which is good. So I think until you have like another women's wrestler who is as good as Paige is, in terms of like physical ability, then I don't think it's gonna lose anytime soon. I think right next will be Alexander Rusev versus Xavier Woods and R-Truth. That's gonna be Rusev. It's no.
Yeah, indeed.
There. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Zeb Coulter versus Rob Van Dam versus Cesaro. I'm going to go with Cesaro on this one. He's definitely getting the push.
Hey. Yeah, but then it just don't... honestly, I guess your point when you said that they fought for so many times is why they threw RVD into the mix. Unless he's got some kind of, I have to have so many pay-per-view appearances on my contract, but... Yeah. Oh my goodness. I feel Cesaro's going to pull it out as well. So, I mean, if RVD wins, I'll be happy. If Swagger wins, I'll be shocked.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Maybe some kind of swerve, maybe not. So next up, I'm guessing it's probably going to be Bray Wyatt versus John Cena in a steel cage.
Oh.
This one, I'm going to say Cena turns heel and kills Bray Wyatt. Not literally, just figuratively. Brian?
See, it stole the thunder. I completely agree, and because of the way the WrestleMania match was, because it seemed like Bray Wyatt wasn't too concerned with winning. He was just trying to push Cena over the edge.
Yeah. I mean, his win will definitely be bringing Cena over the edge, and well, it'd be interesting to see how Cena progresses in this. But I definitely think that the feud with John Cena has definitely elevated Bray Wyatt, really helped out John Cena because he's working with somebody so different than he usually is, and staying away from the main event scene, which is really healthy for everybody else.
Absolutely. But and just another thing on that, like if Bray does win the match, either way, I feel like it's just going to send Cena over the edge.
Yeah, I think that no matter who wins, it's going to be good. So definitely looking forward to it. Next up we have where the heck are we? I'm going to go with Evolution versus the Shield, and I'm going to say the Shield wins. Pretty much because they're pushing these guys to the moon, and they're really the only way I can see like Shield losing is if like Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins turn heel and beat Roman Reigns, but that's just stupid. They would never do something that stupid. If they do that, I'm probably going to stop watching wrestling again.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like you wait for that shoe to drop, and this would be the time to do it because he would be Evolution's fourth member. I mean, Roman Reigns would be.
Yeah, Roman Reigns on them. That would be even better, actually. That would work out.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see Evolution winning just because you don't bring those guys together just to lose like right away. I think they'll win it first, and then they'll have another match, and then that's when they put them over.
Yeah. Well, it'd be kind of cool if they keep like this whole feud going for a long time. I wish they had more long-term stable feuds. So if they did the Evolution versus Shield and like brought it all the way to like say September, and they do a War Games match of some sorts, that would be awesome.
Absolutely, I'm excited either way. However this plays out.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like the Shield versus the Wyatt family. I thought that was going to be the end of the Shield, and that was going to be their last hurrah in terms of like a match together. But man, they're just keeping those boys together, and I have no problem with that at all. All right, next up we have Daniel Bryan versus Kane. I'm going to go with Daniel Bryan. this whole thing works for him. Being injured, being the underdog, it all works for their booking. So I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no upside to Kane winning the belts. I mean, unless you just want him to like walk in on Evolution holding both belts and just laughing at him.
That would be hilarious, but never gonna happen though. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think Kane. He's been like what, champion? How many times? Like, only like 2 or 3 times. And for being a big guy like that, it's kind of embarrassing. But he's always been the corporate guy and always done what they tell him to do. So.
I mean, if they were trying to go harder on this, and that they really focused on him trying to get the belt off of him.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember like when Austin first got the belt, and they were trying the whole thing with Dude Love with the special referees and everything under the sun to get the belt off of Stone Cold? I feel like they could have done a little bit more to try to stack the deck against Daniel Bryan.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to see it on the network. So definitely going to have a recap next week for this.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so, all right, moving on. We have our pay-per-view retrospective, 2 shorter pay-per-views, which was pay-per-views after WrestleMania, which was In Your House, number 14, and In Your House 15, Revenge of the Taker, and Cold Day in Hell. I'm so glad they went away from naming every single one like a topical thing. It's just so stupid. What do you think overall of these pay-per-views, Brian, before we get into them?
You know, with the In Your House stuff, it just, first off, like the little backdrop where like they're coming out of the front.
It's a house in suburbia. It's so cheesy.
I was like, man, Mr. Rogers Lee at the Beaver would be very proud of this.
Won't you be my chair shot neighbor?
Exactly. But it's good for what it is, considering I think Raw was still an hour. I don't know if they went to 2 hours yet at this
point.
point.
They started doing 2 hours on Raw, and they did Raw is War. And it seemed like they would the main focus would be the TV show because they were just competing so hard with Nitro at this point that their pay-per-views are almost an afterthought, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, and excuse me, especially for stuff like this, like, cause it's funny when they had 1 hour Raws, the In Your Houses were like 2 hours and change, and then when they went to 2 hours, the pay-per-views got to be 3 hours. So like they're like, I mean, it makes sense, but it's entertaining. It's all entertainment because it's building up towards the Attitude Era.
Yep, it's building towards the Attitude Era. So and there's a few things the Attitude Era kind of showed up this time. So. First up, we have Legion of Doom, which is Talking Animal versus Owen Hart and the British Bulldog. They defeated them versus DQ, and Bret Hart ran in. This is going to be a trend. I thought this match was kind of boring at first for whatever reasons. Didn't get into it. And then there was a false win where the Legion of Doom thinks they pinned the British Bulldog and won the belts, but turned out he was not the legal man. They restarted the match, had a good sense of urgency, and then Bret Hart just comes in and then just win via DQ, which is unfortunately very common for this era, but even like on Nitro, they did this shit all the time. Brian, what'd you think of the match?
Yeah, I was waiting. I wasn't surprised when the whole thing happened, but I kind of forgot how these things played out because I remember. I mean, I've seen SummerSlam where Owen Hart was the IC champ, and I knew that they dropped the tag belts at some point, so I thought maybe it was here, but you know, with the whole, it's not necessarily a dusty finish, is it?
I would give it a dusty finish. It was a dusty finish.
Yeah, so, I mean, for me, like, it's not like their styles don't really mesh, because, I mean, you got one power guy in Bulldog against 2 power guys in LOD, and you got Owen Hart lost in the mix with this, you know, this technical wrestling, so it could have been better.
It could have been much, much better. Speaking of could have been better, we have Savio Vega with the Nation of Domination. These guys show up quite a bit. Defeated Rocky Maivia versus Count Out after Rocky Maivia was punched by Crush. This is also for the IC Championship. I thought this kind of felt like a regular match. There was nothing special. There was no storyline behind it. At the end of the match, the Nation comes in and starts beating the crap out of the Rock. Rocky Maivia at this point. In comes the Pro Plunger himself, Ahmed Johnson, and they challenge Ahmed to a match versus all 3 members of the Nation. So I thought this was okay, but there's some other stuff that was going on that was probably more exciting, I thought.
Yeah, with the way the climate is today, like, you know, especially with the whole basketball thing with the racial climate, I mean, you see where this thing is going here, like the super, like Black Power thing with the Nation.
Yeah.
And then you got, Savio Vega, and then you got Crush, and you got those two feuding, which, oh my god, I can't wait for SummerSlam '97 if you remember the whole, like the giant, just blatantly racist gimmick match of all time, I have to say.
Yeah, the whole race war thing is just, man, it's really painful to go back and watch this. You gotta admit, though, for what it was, freaking Farouk, crap, what is his real life name? Ron Simmons, sorry. He was into the character. I mean, he definitely, did whatever he was told to do, which is, I guess, good. It made them believable. But yeah, the whole racial undertones is just so unsettling in this.
Yeah, and then what? After the Nation, he teams up with Bradshaw. I mean, is that like, hey, I'm sorry, I took a white guy as my tag team partner. Like, it's fine, it's great. Like, I just think that
he definitely left them strong.
It's just leading to a very difficult thing.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, we have what is he? The Road Dogg at this? No, it's not the Road Dogg. He's the Roadie, Jesse James defeated Rockabilly, aka Billy Gunn, for like the Honky Tonk Fans thing. Hello, Brian.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, did something just happen to Skype?
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. I apologize to the 15 fans that we have.
And a dozen
and a half.
And a dozen fans we have, yeah. Sometimes we get technical difficulties. Makes things more interesting for us. Anyway, so Jesse James defeated Rockabilly, and again, I remember there was like some kind of stupid feud going on. This was kind of starting to be the I guess the protege of the Honky Tonk Man, and Jesse James didn't want to be it, but Rockabilly did, and I'm just glad they formed up and became the New Age Outlaws after this. What'd you think about it, Brian?
Yeah, oh my god. When I heard the music hit for, it's the Roadie, or is it Jesse James?
Down with my baby tonight.
I was like, come on, I thought maybe Jeff Jarrett had already come back. I'm sorry, Jeff, but, my goodness. Like, seeing those two wrestle each other with two horrible gimmicks before they were the Outlaws, it just shows that, like, sometimes you just roll the dice and some things just don't work out.
Yeah, well, I think they rebranded a lot of guys for the Attitude Era, and for these guys, that rebranding as the New Age Outlaws just works so well. But right now, they are probably, I wouldn't say the lowest part of their career because they went to TNA after this. But, man, these guys, like, they really needed a repackaging to at least get our interest in them. Next up, we have the championship match between The Undertaker and Beating Mankind with Paul Bearer. Undertaker was scarred before this match with Fireball by Mankind, probably just flash powder or something like that. And I thought this match was kind of cool. It was kind of brutal, but I thought for what it was definitely very good. Mankind, of course, jobbing out against The Undertaker. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, they needed to do something like that. It's a shame that it wasn't the main event, because even a guy like The Undertaker can be the champ and not main event a pay-per-view. It's good for what it was, and if I'm not mistaken, the initial eye injury, I thought I saw a story where Mick Foley said that he couldn't get the flash paper to work, so Undertaker had to do it himself. So
that sounds about right.
Yeah, so that's kind of like Hogan Warrior,
Oh, God.
Precursor. I mean, come on.
Well,
hey, that's a bad idea. Let's do it too.
Terrible, terrible stuff. Why not? Oh, man. But, yeah, Undertaker won via pinfall. So, good stuff, good stuff. Definitely takes me back. So finally we have Stone Cold Steve Austin defeated Bret Hart via DQ when the entire Hart family ran in and beat the crap out of Stone Cold. Again, another crappy DQ finish for the Attitude Era, but man, these guys, like, I don't know how they, like, interacted out of the ring, but man, inside the ring, these guys hated each other, and it was so good. And I think this match, honestly, was almost as good than the WrestleMania 13 match. What'd you think, Brian?
Yeah, I still like the WrestleMania one, because you didn't have the DQ finish, but
yeah.
It basically, it basically led up to where Stone Cold got his run, because you saw that they they understood that he was a threat because even in the sharpshooter, he didn't tap out at WrestleMania. So they're like, this guy's tough. He's been a thorn in our side. We need to do something about it. So it took all those guys beating down Steve Austin to put him away.
Yeah, I thought this was a very, very cool match, and definitely shows the rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is pretty much like as he gets more and more popular, the Attitude Era comes out more and more, and to the point where he actually wins the belt. And that pretty much is I wouldn't say official start of the Attitude Era, but man, that definitely cemented the Attitude Era as being a big part of wrestling history. All right, so what do you think of that pay-per-view overall?
If you want to give it a grade, I give it solid, like a B minus. Like I don't think it had enough to go to A range at all.
Yeah, I think the only two matches I would have paid money for would have been Undertaker and Mankind and Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hart. So I would say honestly, I'll give this a C minus. I think this was. It's only 5 matches, and I think 2 out of 3 are good. So C at the best.
Yeah.
Burn.
Ooh.
Okay. Well, and then after that follows A Cold Day in Hell, which took place in Richmond, Virginia. So props to that, being from the greatest state in the country, which is Virginia.
Of course.
All right. So, of course, being A Cold Day in Hell, the main event was Stone Cold Steve Austin taking on The Undertaker. Not beating The Undertaker, we'll get to that in a second. But we start out with Hunter Hearst Helmsley defeating Flash Funk. Thoughts on it, Brian?
It was the push to Triple H, and they had to make him look good because he was actually going on. I think they were fighting Mankind, like at SummerSlam. It's like a really good steel cage match. I can't wait to get to that. But yeah, as far as this match goes, I mean, China looks scary.
Yeah. I like the part where they mentioned the Funkettes won't show up in ringside because they're so scared of China, which makes sense. She's gonna beat me up, and I probably, she's got bigger muscles than I do.
Yeah, the only thing that was scary, and I feel bad mentioning it, but like when I saw it, the first thing I noticed was like her shirt was way too tight, and you don't want to see those man pecs that she had at the time, and it was just gross all around.
Yeah.
But a good win for Triple H, which was Hunter Hearst Helmsley building him up away from the little Curtsy Butler guy.
Well, Curtis Hughes. She was only there for like 1 match, so.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is okay. Flash Funk got some offense towards the end, made him look pretty viable. Flash Funk, of course, being a veteran of the ring. I think he's been around forever. It's Too Cold Scorpio of Flash Funk, and I think he's still wrestling actually to this day. So good for him. So next up we have Mankind defeating the now no longer IC champion Rocky Maivia, and this kind of felt like a really historically this kind of felt like out of place. Like these guys, I know will have great matches in the future, but at this point it just kind of felt like, why are they wrestling?
Yeah, I kind of got the same feeling. Because I think Mankind was still a heel at that point, so they were trying to get Rocky over as much as possible, and it just didn't work. They were starting to cheer for Mankind at that point. Well,
Mankind, I think this is also when he started doing like the interviews with Jim Ross and saying like, I was in Mankind, I was Dude Love, and all that stuff. And I think that really got him over, like showing like what he really was like, and that he didn't want to be this kind of crappy gimmick. He wanted to be or tortured gimmick. He wasn't really a crappy gimmick. He was a fun gimmick, but he wanted to be something else, and I think that's what really got the fans to love him.
I wonder though if they edit out the "Die Rocky Die" chants, or "Rocky sucks," anything like that.
I don't know. I mean, I think that was maybe more of a Raw thing than here, but yeah, I mean, definitely like The Rock was not as well loved, and up until like when he became like The Rock, he was really lame. So yeah, Die Rocky Die, become The Rock.
So this was like the start of that, because like he was losing, the fans were booing him. He's like, "The hell with you people." So,
but again, they repackaged him, and he took off like lightning. I mean, this guy was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So next up, speaking of the Nation of Domination and turns and whatnot, so we have the entire Nation of Domination gauntlet match versus Ahmed Johnson, which was actually, I thought, pretty good sports entertainment. Not wrestling, but sports entertainment, between having the the Nation's having to go back to the entrance area, so they're just them standing in front of the house, and Ahmed taking on, I think it was Crush first, then Savio, and then finally Farouk, and then losing to Farouk by pinfall. I thought this was fun. It was probably a good way to end the feud, but it didn't make Ahmed Johnson look bad. What did you think, Brian?
As far as like the match is concerned, I mean, they tried so hard, like for the entire stretch that Ahmed Johnson was there to put him over, and I don't think it ever worked. But I don't know if you remember, like I was surprised. I was like, when they broke up Harlem Heat, and then he became Stevie Ray's tag team partner.
Yeah.
I was like, what happened to you, man? But yeah, I mean, it built that tension within the Nation, and you know, he said it ended the feud the best way they could, considering the circumstances.
Yeah, well, one man versus a stable is kind of hard to do anyway. But yeah, for what it's worth, I thought it was pretty decent. Good sports entertainment. Speaking of entertainment, next up we have Ken Shamrock defeating Vader versus Tap Out in a no-holds-barred match, but I think it was only like submissions and knockouts counted. I thought this was pretty cool, especially as being his introductory match. I mean, taking on Vader, who is probably like one of the scariest guys you can get in the ring with, and he still hold his own and beat him. What did you think about this interesting match, Brian?
Yeah, I was surprised that was his first match that he had with the company. I was blown away. I was like, you figure they would have somebody that's like more his size, like a little quicker, that could roll around the mat and do stuff like that. But I mean, for what it was, it definitely showed that like Ken Shamrock was a guy to be taken very seriously.
Right.
So, yeah, I was completely for it. I liked it.
Yeah, I really like Kevin Shamrock's run in the WWF, and I thought that I wish he stayed in longer. Of course, went back to UFC, but he was a huge like face in UFC too. Like he was like UFC champion and Hall of Famer there, and he goes to wrestling. So I think probably like he might not have pulled his punches as much as they would have liked him to. So that's why I took him on like a legitimate tough guy Vader who could take it. Because Ken Shamrock would probably think that this was like real and start breaking people's legs left and right. But yeah, I thought what it was pretty cool, especially the size difference too. Like really told a good story.
Yeah, Vader's can take a punch, but he sure as heck give it back.
Oh yeah, Vader will kick your ass. But you know, if they were in a real fight, I'm still thinking Ken Shamrock would probably find some way to win at this point. So anyway, so the main event was Undertaker as champion defeated Stone Cold Steve Austin. And what I thought was not as good as it should have been, to be honest with you. I thought it was kind of a crappy match because they kept on going for each other's legs, and they had the Hart Foundation by ringside sitting down because they bought tickets or something from a scalper. This whole thing was, I don't know, it wasn't as good as it could have been and should have been. What did you think, Brian?
Yeah, it seemed like, and I know you said it earlier for Mankind and The Rock, I felt the same way for this match. This match seemed out of place for the time period. It's like they just rushed Austin into the title scene.
Yeah.
Knowing he still had the Hart Foundation feud going on. And
well,
Undertaker just seemed out of place and lost.
He really did. Well, at this point, too, like, honestly, what other main eventers do they have that could take on The Undertaker? I think next pay-per-view is going to be Undertaker versus Farouk, which was, if at this point, Farouk's not a main eventer, but, they're really desperate, I think, at this point, and they would probably throw in anybody to make some dollars, so.
Yeah, I mean, and they saved it, right? He fought Bret Hart at SummerSlam with Shawn Michaels the referee, so that... Yeah. You couldn't give that away right away.
No, you really couldn't. Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart was injured at this point too, so.
That's right.
And I think Stone Cold Steve Austin was definitely a tweener at this point. He wasn't really, because the fans were like, Undertaker had offense, they cheered for him. Stone Cold Steve Austin had offense, they cheered for him. So either way, both people had their fans, so. But yeah, it's kind of hard to say who was the fan favorite in this match.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like it just seemed like you could have had this pay-per-view like the year after that, and it would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah, well, they fought at SummerSlam '98 after like Austin was the champion, and it was so much bigger, of course, because it was full-blown Attitude Era, and everything was bigger, better, more spectacular. So, all right, so overall, I would give this pay-per-view probably a B-. I might have paid money for it back in the day. I don't think it was well, obviously it wasn't terrible, but I mean, I think they had some stuff that could have been better. What'd you think overall, Brian?
Honestly, I think the way you did for the last one, give it just a C plus, because I mean, if you told me, hey, you want to see Hunter Hearst Helmsley in flag, you know, the 3-on-1 match against Ahmed, who I wasn't crazy about, like, nah, I would have passed on buying it. I would have gone to somebody's house for it, but I definitely wouldn't have bought it.
No, definitely not. All right, so those are our two pay-per-views. So next week in your King of the Ring 97, do you want to go for that?
Sure, the official launch of Triple H.
It can't be that bad. We have, let's see what matches we have here. We have Triple H versus Ahmed Johnson, Mankind versus Jerry Lawler. That really makes sense. Goldust defeating versus Crush, Heart Foundation, Psycho City still around, and the Legion of Doom. Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Mankind, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin. That actually sounds pretty cool. Return of Shawn Michaels, Undertaker versus Farouk. Yeah, we'll watch it, see what happens. If I don't kill myself, I'll be happy.
Yeah. I mean, it should be entertaining. I mean, if at the most part, even if the pay-per-view stinks, I'm just glad we're able to go back and another network plug. I'm just so happy we're able to go back and watch these things.
Yeah, which is the important thing, which is that we actually get a chance to watch these matches again, and definitely different perspective than you did, you know, when they first came out, and have a kind of like, you know, nostalgic feel to it. I mean, I don't think these are like the best matches of all time, but it's interesting to see what they're doing. You know, 17 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The thing was, like, when I had taken a couple years off, not by choice, but when I got back in around like mid '97, it was because I saw Hogan in the NWO, and I was just all about WCW. I didn't even start watching WWF again until like right after the Royal Rumble, like '98, when Austin started getting super hot. So this is good to watch all this stuff that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, well, I've not watched this stuff. I mean, I know the results of it. I followed it to some degree, but yeah, I was a WCW guy, so going back and watching it is definitely interesting as a wrestling fan. All right, so moving on to our top 5 list of the night. I wish Donnie was here so we could have a third voice, but we have our top 5 people who are involved in wrestling and who should be punched in the face for various reasons. We'll probably have a few guys in our same guys in our list, but we'll see what happens. Brian, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I mean, you can. I had a thought, though. You want to send him like a text real quick, see if he'll just send you his top 5 so our fans can know the Chair Shots top 5?
Oh, yeah. Let's see if I can text him while we're doing this, since I have his secret number.
All right, well, then I'll go ahead and do my number 5 then while you're busy with that. It was tough, like, because there were so many people when I got down to thinking about it that would really deserve this. And my first one is, like, there are some people that, like a hype man, somebody that hypes things up so much that you just get sick of it. You just want to, like, I guess, punch him in the face. And that is Tony Schiavone. I swear to God, I liked him as an announcer, but you can't tell me that Disco Inferno versus Alex Wright is, like the biggest thing in WCW Nitro history. And then follow that up with, like, Randy Savage and Hogan, you know, talking to each other, and that's the biggest thing in wrestling history. Everything to Schiavone was the biggest thing in wrestling history.
He was just enthusiastic.
It got old so fast. But to be fair, he did have to manage, like, Mike Tenay trying to sound smart because he watched, you know, wrestling from Mexico. But to tell you the truth, like Schiavone just, like, he killed it for me with his hype. I couldn't take it.
Yeah, well, that's definitely understandable. I thought he was really disingenuous in terms of his delivery, and he didn't feel like a wrestling announcer, like a Gorilla Monsoon or Joey Styles. He would just miss some kind of professionalism, I thought, that the other guys had. But for what he was serviceable. Wasn't terrible. You know, could have been worse.
You know he does minor league baseball now?
Does he?
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's very relaxing at this point. So he probably made his millions with WCW, and then good for him.
Millions and millions.
Millions, yeah, tens of dollars. Anyway, my number 5, actually very topical, CM Punk. Because he, I mean, honestly, the guy signed a contract to be a wrestler for the WWE, and he freaking walked out, the day of a Monday Night Raw, and essentially it was all for personal, selfish reasons. And he's gotten the fans chanting his name because, you know what, they really like him. They want to see him. and he's really disappointing everybody by not showing up. I mean, come on, like, would it kill you to go out, to the end of your contract and then leave? Would that hurt you so much? So for that, I think he deserves a freaking punch in the face and a slap in the mouth, and getting a good dose of wrestling reality.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I like the guy, like him just leaving like that, I was not a fan of that whatsoever.
No, and it kept us in suspense for a while too, because he was out of contact with everybody. He didn't, and everybody kind of thought it was like a shoot, or because he did this crap. Well, he did it when his contract ended. And he was a champion, a couple of years ago. But now it's just, I mean, it's just really, really annoying, that kind of behavior, and it sets a really bad example for everybody else too in the locker room.
Yeah, especially considering he was one of like the main event guys, and if you're just gonna take your, I guess what they used to say back in the day, take your ball and go home, it doesn't make it look right if you have a dispute with management.
No, it's a terrible way of resolving things, and again, it's just, yeah, what's some younger wrestler going to see whenever there's a problem? All right.
Absolutely. My number 4, I guess I go to WCW again, but it was Nick Patrick.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I mean, there were a lot of things with like contracts and egos that didn't help the company any. But so you had the build up for the Sting and Hogan match, and the whole point of it was that he was supposed to fast count Sting's shoulders to the mat for Hogan,
which you should know everything about.
And then, of course, like boom, boom, boom. But he had the normal 1, 2, 3, and I'm like. And then you see Bret Hart come out there saying, "This isn't right. I'm not letting this happen again." What? A normal pin count? Like, it was just ridiculous. He fumbled that up so bad.
Yeah.
And that had a lot to do with where the company went from there, because it just looked so bad. That was just really horrible. So Nick Patrick, boom, right in the face.
Wow. Okay, well, my number 4, because you took Tony Schiavone, is Michael Cole.
Oh, good one.
Oh my goodness, I can't stand him. Honestly, the guy is such a company man. It's not even funny. And he's been around for a long time, and he just sucks. He really sucks the life out of anything that he does. And he doesn't make the matches better like Jim Ross did or Gorilla Monsoon did. He's not a good play-by-play guy. Doesn't bring any enthusiasm. He just kind of presents things and assumes that you're into them already. Jim Ross can call a craptacular match and look spectacular. He can take a great match and make it look terrible. So yeah, Michael Cole, punch to the face, and I think I can get away with it too.
Yeah, the thing with him, like I kind of feel like they just need to shelve the whole team except JBL. I like JBL.
I like JBL at first, but now he's going to get annoying. But yeah, him and Jerry Lawler, Jerry Lawler should have retired with Jim Ross, because those two were great together. But I mean, they need new guys. They need some fresh blood in there. So.
I mean, some people just can't get the hint. I mean, he died at ringside and came back to life. It's like, I want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, I kind of went with another referee, surprise of no one, but I went with Earl Hebner on this one.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, mainly because I understand he had his job on the line, but my gosh, if he knew Brett for so long, and then he was like, "Can I trust you not to screw me out of this title if something comes up?" He's like, swore on his kid's life, the whole thing, and then goes out there and does the favor for Vince and Shawn, and just that was what probably made it worse, because Brett never saw it coming because of Earl Hebner. And the thing was, I saw him at a TNA event. The other guys a couple years ago, and he had a shirt that says I screwed Brett or something. So I guess I should applaud him for trying to make money off something he's been terrorized for almost 20 years. But like, to me, if you knew that was going to happen and you made a promise like that, I mean, it's a business. But I would have just got asked out of the match and somebody else refereed instead.
Yeah. Good point. I was kind of thinking for the whole selling T-shirts on the side thing, but
there's that too.
Or having his brother screw over Hulk Hogan by having Andre pin him. But anyway,
Wait, oh, that was the whole fake brother gimmick?
Yeah,
Fake brother,
that was him. I forget his name as his brother. I think it was like Dave Hebner or something like that.
Yeah. Ooh, there you go.
Yeah, Dave Hebner, twin brothers, and they screwed Hulk Hogan that way. It's the only way you can stop Hulkamania, which we'll get to in a moment. Anyway, so my number 3, Kevin Nash.
Oh, good one.
And I thought for all the douchebaggery, the fact that he can't wrestle, he's got 5 moves. He's good on the mic, I'll give him that. But, man, he doesn't use it to promote anybody else but himself. But the one thing that really pisses me off, which I think killed WCW, it was one of the factors, but I think one of the biggest factors that killed WCW in terms of momentum was ending Goldberg's streak. Not only did he beat him in the ring, but he booked himself to beat him in the ring, too. And in a craptacular way as well. I mean, they could have been a much bigger way of ending the streak and keeping the streak around. But nope, he decided just to go ahead and have his buddy, Scott Hall, tase him and then pin him. Oh, and then Nitro, a couple weeks later, just job to Hogan and just give him the belt? What the hell?
Finger poke of doom.
Finger poke of doom. Finger poke that destroyed the entire company. Kaboom!
I saw an interview that Nash did where he said that the whole focus that they had to end the streak to make Goldberg's character more interesting because it was all about the streak, you know. And with Undertaker, you can kind of see how that relates. But,
yeah.
I completely agree. But then I felt bad for the guy because it's not like he did it for his own interest because, you know, Hogan did the finger poke of doom like 2 weeks later, so.
Yeah, that the whole thing is just craptacular.
But if there's guys you don't feel sorry for, it's Kevin Nash.
Nope, don't feel sorry for him at all. Feel sorry for his knees, but not for him. All right, Brian, what's your number? Dose.
Number 2, I feel bad for this one, and I know you're going to hate me for it. It's actually John Cena's dad.
Whoa! Oh, that guy has been punched in the face several times. He does not deserve another one.
That's kind of the point. Like, okay, so, I mean, I'm not even going to hold it against him that, you know, he brought the Doctor of Thugonomics into the world, but look at it this way. Like, the fact that they had the angle with Edge, and Edge just, like, bitch slaps him and knocks him around, and then Randy Orton beats him up, and he's just a regular, like a punching bag. And he's just, you know, like, because for me, with my size, I could never fight Cena. But you see his dad, I'm like, okay, it makes sense. You know, and then especially because you look at how Cena's built, and you look at his dad, I'm like, how are they related? He's like one dude goes to the gym, the other one sleeps all day. Is what it looks like. But,
Yeah.
you know, like for me, like just like I'm like, if your son's gonna be that tough, you need not be such a wuss yourself. So I went for Cena's dad.
Ooh, Cena's dad. Not even Cena's mom. It's for his dad. That's just low.
Well, it'd be worse for his mom.
Much worse, but we'll get to Pinchy Women in a few moments here. All right, before I get to my number 2, we're going to take a break after the number 2s to go over Donnie's list, which he has texted me, and also the reasons for them, too. So we have number 2 for me, Hulk Hogan.
Oh, brother.
Oh, you think he's, well, considering he is also one of my favorite guys in professional wrestling, he's also my most disliked guy, too. It's a weird paradox how that works. But I got to say he did 3 cardinal sins. Sin number 1, WrestleMania 9.
Ooh.
Not only having Bret Hart, the lovable champion for technical wrestler from Canada, lose to Yokozuna, very, was it rice to the? No, it wasn't rice to the face. It was salt to the face, right?
That is one or the other.
Yeah, it's terrible stuff. Anyway, Hulk Hogan shows up, helps out Bret Hart. Yokozuna challenges him to a match. Hulk Hogan wins and wins the WWF Championship, and then never shows up on TV to promote it at all, and then loses the next pay-per-view to Yokozuna, never to be seen in the company again. Right? He didn't come back, right?
No, but which is funny because I started watching the Raws on the network, and they actually hyped Mr. Nanny. I'm like, if for a guy's out of the company, why are you showing people like a trailer for Mr. Nanny?
Why not? Anyway, so sin number 2. Really killing off WCW. So he comes to WCW, same Hulk Hogan shtick. I didn't watch any of this crap for the obvious reasons. like kicks out all the WCW guys for the most part, a lot of the WCW guys. Beats up Ric Flair for the title, and then brings in his own boys like freaking Brutai, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan and some other guys too. If I got everybody's names, it's probably a huge list actually. It's like the roster switched sides. Like everybody from WCW went to WWF, everybody from WWF went to WCW. It just didn't make any sense. Well, it does from a business standpoint, I guess. Anyway, so he does the NWO. That's doing great, but the gimmick never dies. And he just sticks around and just stinks up the place, and then Bash to the Beach 2000 happens, and then just it makes the company even more a mess than it should have been. So bad for that. And then number 3, going to TNA. And honestly, Hogan at this point should stop like even showing up for stuff, except for maybe once in a while for a pay-per-view, like he did for WrestleMania. I thought that was great. But I mean, to be honest, to be involved in TNA and not bring anything to the company, and just stagnate their ratings and get rid of the cool like octagonal ring they had, shame on you, Hulk Hogan. Shame on you, and punch to the face.
Yeah. Couple things on that. I really like that. And let's not forget, he had a fantastically crappy match with Sting on TNA that was just, oh my god, it was the worst. But yeah, you can't tell me, just for WCW's sakes, that as well as Steve Austin wrestled for that company, the fact that Hacksaw Jim Duggan beats him in like 30 seconds for the U.S. title, Hogan had something to do with it.
Oh, easily.
Hated that.
Yeah.
Hogan had his fingers all over that stuff, and it just made it hard to watch. So I completely agree. Yeah, and with the title belt, like with Hogan not showing up on Raw, like I completely agree with that too. But then the early stuff, like even with Yokozuna as the champ, you hardly ever saw him either. I don't know why they kept the champ off of Raw back in the day, to be honest.
I honestly don't know. I didn't watch it back in that time frame, so they only had an hour to kill anyway, so. Kind of hard to do things in an hour.
So Donnie's list.
Donnie's list. This is actually kind of I think Donnie actually is pretty mad about this list. Okay, so Donnie's list starts out number 5. Anyone who died of an OD for leaving us too soon. That's pretty sad. You're punching the corpse of Eddie Guerrero right now. Jim Ross for being a company man of whoever paid him most. Well, Jim Ross. I mean, I think he did a good job of that. So. Boo, Donnie, boo.
But that's not fair because he took less money. He left WCW, took less money to go to WCW.
Did take less money, yeah. Vince Russo for being Vince Russo. Very true. Very, very true. I think I completely agree with him. Vince Russo is... honestly, Vince Russo should have been on my list. I don't know why I didn't put him on my list. But, yeah, I mean, he would be somebody I think he was great in WWF, but terrible in WCW in terms of his booking. It was just... It was garbage. Sheer garbage.
He didn't have Vince McMahon. That's all it is.
Yeah. So next up we have Chris Benoit for obvious reasons, and that's some very obvious reasons there. Yeah. And finally Jim Cornette for being a self-promoting never-was who believes the hype he creates. Yeah, that sounds about right. But Jim Cornette is kind of entertaining. I got to give him that.
He's always good for shoots, and like,
he is. Yeah. And the whole like teaching Glenn Jacobs how to wrestle like Kevin Nash did is hilarious. So he's got the 5 moves. That's it. That's all he does is 5 moves. So what is your number 1 person who should be taking the punch to the face?
Man, I had one and I wanted to use it, but to tell you the truth, I just got reminded when you talked about Beefcake. I have to give a quick split to 2 guys, and that's Crush and Bruce Beefcake. Because, my God, clearly they had some kind of potential.
Yeah.
Because if I remember, Bruce was like a tag team champ with Hammer Valentine back in the day.
Maybe.
And I know that he was Hogan's lackey.
Yeah.
Even when they had the SummerSlam match against Zeus and Macho Man. But, my God. Like, they got repackaged so many times, and each time they sucked that much worse. Like you just want to, either strangle Vince McMahon for continuing to shove them down our throats, or just be like, guys, if you're not going to give the heart and passion to these gimmicks, just get out of wrestling altogether and stop taking our TV time. I hated those guys because they were just bums. I couldn't stand them at all.
Wow. Okay, well, that's definitely a fair point right there. I did like the Kona Crush myself, but that's just me.
Oh, what, you talking Chronic or?
No, Kona Crush. You know, he's all like Hawaiian man.
Oh, like brother, brother, brother.
Brother, brother, brother. Yeah, I like that. Anyway, so my number one, and I swear to goodness, I would punch a woman, Dixie Carter.
Oh.
Yeah, because honestly, 2009, I started getting into TNA. I thought it was actually pretty decent. There was some good stuff. Then realized this is WCW all over again. Because number one, they had the has-beens from WWE. They brought in like guys I liked, but they were all also has-beens. They never pushed up their new talent that much as they should have. And she kept on repackaging the whole thing. Like when not Vince McMahon, but Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan come in there, they ruined the whole thing. And, you know, instead of creating their own product and being a real rival to WWE, they decided to just be a bunch of wannabes. And that's just really sad that, you know, they actually have a nationally syndicated TV show, and they have that kind of exposure. They should be doing so much better, but she's holding the company back so hard that I just want to give her a punch to the face.
Yeah, she had no idea. I mean, clearly, like, she knows a little more than I do, but to tell you the truth, like, with as bad as the company was going financially, they paid Hogan $35,000 in episode just to show up at Impact.
Wow.
Like, that's ridiculous considering how much they were paying dudes just to show up and actually wrestle, like, on the cards themselves. So, yeah, garbage. But, you know, and the fact that they tried to go live on Monday nights against Raw and then quit like a month later.
That was sad.
I was excited. I was like, yes, we have WCW back, and nope.
No, it just nobody cared. Nobody cared. So overall, kind of a rage list, but you know we got to do one of those once in a while. We can't do the greatest XXX so many times.
That's true.
So overall, pretty good list. I know. Pretty much agree with all yours, Brian. Don't agree with all of Donnie's. Jim Ross. I mean, come on, man. This is good old JR.
Yeah. It's like a teddy bear. Come on. Boomer Sooner.
Boomer Sooner.
You could have had Oklahoma. How about that for a?
Oh God, Ed Ferreira. Yeah, Ed Ferreira definitely came close to being on this list too. This was like, I revised this list in my mind several times. So, I mean.
Did you have a guy that you wanted to put on there but didn't?
Oh, there's many guys. Ed Ferreira, Vince Russo. Yeah, I was thinking Brutus the Barber Bruce Beefcake. For being such a freaking sellout, and just being Hogan's lackey, or actually any of Hogan's lackeys, like Jimmy Hart. I mean, what did he really contribute to WCW? I mean, come on.
Yeah, but there's one real super quick. There's one guy I wanted to use, but I didn't. Was Undertaker, just because he had so many opportunities to lose the streak, and he gives it to Lesnar.
Yeah.
A super quick story again. When I remember reading Ric Flair's book, and he talked about how Beefcake came up to him and said that he sold for Eddie Guerrero too much and made him and Flair look weak. I'm like, that in itself is like the best story you say about Beefcake, because he had no clue what good wrestling was.
Yeah. Very sad, but then again, they aren't schmarks like us. So, yeah, well, actually, one person I would never ever put on the list, is many times he deserves it, is Vince McMahon. I am a huge Vince McMahon apologist. He did everything for business, and you know, screw anybody who messed with him.
So what about Eric Bischoff?
Ooh, Eric Bischoff also came close to being on the list too, but you know, he did make WCW a big thing and made the Monday Night Wars what it was. So unintentionally, he probably helped out wrestling more than anybody else could. So definitely not him.
Absolutely.
No, Jay Leno, maybe.
Ooh, oh my God.
Or Donald Trump. Definitely came close. So
Trump never really got in the ring, though.
Anybody associated with wrestling who's a personality, and Trump would definitely be it.
Well, I mean, in comparison to the fact that Leno did the armbar.
Oh God, just reminding me of this stuff. It's just terrible.
Yes.
All right, we should just end the show before I end up like just jumping off a bridge here.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. Who's got? I have the list for next week.
You have the list for next week, so hopefully Donnie's gonna listen to this, so that way he knows what we're gonna do next.
Yeah, basically what I was going to do is, I know you're not necessarily a big fan of what ifs, but I always like to see what you guys think. So I was going to give you guys like just top 5, and you can go back, find whichever angles you didn't like, and you could rewrite them and say and why would you change those angles?
Okay. Definitely sounds like a fun little task for next week. So yeah, I'll buy it. I'll smell what you're cooking. All right. So this is the DB&J podcast for August 29th, 2014. I'm Turnbuckle Jim.
Fast Count Brian.
And nowhere to be seen, Fighting Parts Unknown, is Chairshot Donnie.
He's trying to find Paige. It's okay.
It's all right. We're all trying to find her.
Yes, indeed. Have a great night, everybody.
Night, everyone.